ये चालू नहीं है?
ચાલુ જ છે સર વાંધો નહીં તો હું ડ્રોપ કરી દઈશ.
Hello, good morning, friends. Last time we learnt about anatomy of ear. Today we will learn something about deafness. Everybody knows what is deafness, but basically there are three types of deafness. First is conductive, second type is sensorineural, and third is mixed. Now let us know something about conductive deafness. Anything which obstructs sound from entering from ear canal up to stapes foot plate is called conductive deafness. There are many reasons, like it could be congenital, infection, trauma, or any mechanical obstruction. Second is sensorineural deafness. That is because of nerve is either damaged or not functioning due to age. Other reasons are congenital, infection of eighth nerve, ototoxic drugs, various syndromes, and various tumors. Mixed deafness occurs when there is a component of conductive as well as sensorineural hearing loss. Now, how to investigate conductive deafness? First is pure tone audiometry. It is assessment of hearing loss. And second is impedance audiometry, which is usually done in intact tympanic membrane to know the mobility of ossicular chain. There are many investigations for SN loss, that is pure tone audiometry, autoacoustic emission, brainstem evoked response audiometry, that is BERA, speech discrimination score, CC test, and recruitment test. Conductive deafness can be cured either by medical or by surgical treatment. First of all, we have to find the cause. What is the cause of conductive deafness? If there is wax, fungus, furuncle in the external auditory canal, we should treat it. If there is a perforation in the eardrum, surgery should be done. If there is any ossicular chain disruption or stapes foot plate fixation, that is known as otosclerosis, or anything which causes ossicular chain immobility by tympanosclerosis, it should be removed surgically and conductive deafness can be cured. For sensorineural hearing loss, also there are two types of treatment, medical and surgical. That is also depending upon the cause. Suppose there is a acute SN loss, we can give steroid You can give vasodilator, etc. Hyperbaric oxygen also can be given. And in pediatric age group, nowadays cochlear implantation is also possible. How to decide degree of hearing loss? That is also we can judge by tuning fork and other investigations what we have discussed earlier. Okay, now we'll go for the second part. બીજો પાઠ કરો બીજો પાઠ કરો. એના પછી the second part is diseases of the pinna. Pinna also can be affected by congenital, traumatic, inflammatory or neoplastic disorders. In congenital disorders, there are developmental abnormalities of the pinna. It may be minor or major. First is anoxia. In that case, external ear is totally absent. Microtia means it is also a major developmental anomaly, but degree of microtia may vary. Sometimes it is just small ear, or sometimes even external auditory canal is also absent. Macrotia means excessively large pinna, and that ear is also known as protruding ear. Fifth is cup ear or lobe ear, cryptocia or coloboma. But these are very rare conditions. There are also some minor deformities like absence of tragus, Darwin's tubercle, additional folds and satyr ear. But these are very rare. One may find ear lobule deformities. It is also like absence of lobule, large lobule, bifid lobule or attached lobule. And lastly, pre-auricular tags or appendages. These are also minor congenital abnormalities. Last one is pre-auricular sinus. Last lecture also we mentioned about same thing. There is a deformity seen in the preauricular area, and it is due to incomplete fusion of tubercles. It gets repeatedly infected, and treatment is surgical excision of apical tract if the sinus gets repeatedly infected. Surgery is the only answer. Many a times auricle is damaged by trauma, maybe due to vehicular accident, maybe due to scratching of ear, hematoma of the auricle. In it, there is a collection of blood between auricular cartilage and perichondrium. Cartilage gets its blood supply from perichondrium. If there is any barrier like blood or serous, in that case, cartilage doesn't get nourishment from the perichondrium and it gets absorbed or becomes infected. In majority of cases, we have to give incision, hematoma or pus is to be drained, and necrotic cartilage also has to be removed, and we have to apply tight bandage so that collection of blood or fluid doesn't happen. Laceration also should be repaired as early as possible, because whenever there is a exposure of cartilage, it gets infected, and once cartilage is infected, it is difficult to cure by medical treatment, and we have to remove that avascular necrotic cartilage. Avulsion of the pinna, it happens by any road traffic accident, but as you know, when pinna is still attached to the head, if we suture primarily, it gives good result. But if it is completely avulsed, then it is difficult to uh, get good result. It can be reimplanted, but prognosis is doubtful. Frostbite is due to extreme cold, and it also requires rewarming, application of silver nitrate, analgesic, antibiotics, debridement, etc. Keloid of auricle, also very common. It may follow trauma or ear piercing, and recurrence of keloid can be avoided by pre or post radiation with a total dose of 6 to 800 rad delivered in 4 divided doses. And some prefer local injection of steroid after excision. Now let us see inflammatory disorders of external ear, that is periconditis. It is happened due to laceration, hematoma, or surgical incisions. And same way, initially we should give good systemic antibiotics, and if doesn't cure, then we have to go for surgery also. Relapsing polyconditis, it's a rare autoimmune disorder, and in this case also treatment consists of high doses of systemic steroid. In this chondrodermatitis nodularis chronica helicis, painful nodules appear, and it is also difficult to treat. Other diseases like congenital disorders, trauma, inflammation, tumors, we have discussed earlier, and it should be tackled according to the etiology. Ataxia of external canal is also extremely difficult to cure, and we have to go for CT scan, and depending upon severity of ataxia, and sometimes when it is along with microtia, it requires multiple surgeries. Caudal fistula is also congenital deformity due to abnormality of the first branchial cleft, and there are two openings, and it also should be tackled surgically. Trauma to external ear canal, right from minor lacerations to major injuries, depending upon severity, we should treat them. Inflammations of ear canal, in infective group, it is bacterial, fungal, viral, reactive. The most common is furuncle of external ear canal. It occurs due to staphylococcal infection, because hair are confined only to the cartilaginous part of the meatus and it is very painful. We should give systemic antibiotics, analgesics, and local heat. Ear pack of 10% ecthamol glycerin provides splintage and it reduces pain. If abscess is formed, and should be done. And in case of recurrent furunculosis, diabetes should be treated, it should be excluded, and staphylococcal infection is the main source and should be treated. In diffuse otitis externa, it's a major problem, and two main factors are first is trauma and second is invasion by the pathogenic organism. So one should never scratch the ear canal, and common organism responsible are Staph aureus, Pseudomonas, Pyoceanus, Bacillus proteus, E. coli, but more commonly we get mixed infection and broad spectrum systemic antibiotics as well as topical ear drops are helpful. Clinical features of diffuse otitis externa may be acute or chronic with varying degrees of severity, and they should also be treated according to severity, but commonly scratching of ear or repeated trauma should be avoided. Systemic treatment must be given. Oral toilet and medicated wicks for the local parts are very helpful and it cures the condition. Diabetes should be ruled out. In chronic phase also, oral toilet should be done regularly and patient must not itch the ear because it is due to infection of mixed bacterial flora and systemic broad spectrum antibiotics and Goswick of 10% ecthamol glycerin should be inserted. And lastly, otomycosis. It is a fungal infection and it is seen in hot and humid climate, and along with antifungal we should use topical antibiotics, antifungal, painkillers, treatment to reduce itching should be done. Nystatin is effective against Candida and other broad spectrum antifungal agents like clotrimazole and povidone also very useful. Ear must be kept dry. If we suspect bacterial infections along with fungal infection, we should add systemic antibiotics also. Otitis externa hemorrhagica. In this we found hemorrhagic bully on the tympanic membrane and deep meatus. It is also seen in influenza epidemics. Condition causes severe pain. So we must give powerful analgesics to relieve pain. Antibiotics should be given. In case of herpes zoster oticus, we see vesicles on the tympanic membrane, metal skin, concha and posterior groove, and sometimes 7th and 8th cranial nerves also may be involved. Now, most severe condition is malignant otitis externa or necrotizing otitis externa. It is caused by Pseudomonas infection in elderly diabetics or in immunosuppressive those patients who are on immunosuppressive drugs or who patients are immunocompromised. In these patients, necrotizing otitis externa is common. It is very difficult to treat. Patient has got severe otalgia. Patients are usually elderly, diabetic. We see granulation tissue in the external ear canal at its cartilaginous and bony junction, and whenever we see granulations at this junction and in diabetic elderly patient, we must have a high degree of suspicion to rule out necrotizing otitis externa. This is very difficult to treat, and uh, if it can be, this CT scan should be done, and it shows bony destruction. Sometimes gallium 67 scan is also useful to diagnose this condition. Technetium 99 bone scan reveals bone infection, but we have to monitor the patient for longer period of time. If we treat this patient, first and foremost is control of diabetes. Secondly, oral toilet. We have to clean the canal. Antibiotic treatment specifically to cure Pseudomonas, but depending upon culture and sensitivity, we should start antibiotics. Gentamicin combined with ticarcillin should be given IV. Third generation cephalosporins like ceftriaxone or ceftazidime should be considered, and quinolones are also effective. Everything depends on culture and sensitivity report. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think we'll